Part 4. Additional possible intentions and meanings, and others' ideas. The creaking monster of the Pale Garden biome is the second squarely horror mob to be added to the game. Though after Microsoft's acquisition of Mojang and Minecraft, scary and threatening mobs have been introduced at an accelerating pace in parts of the game they previously didn't exist, and to levels in opposition to the original atmosphere of the All Ages game. If you already know what I'm talking about and want to skip, here's another timestamp. First, drowned zombies made dark or deep enough water a threat, and fandoms made any land with open sky potentially dangerous at night. Then the roaming pillagers made any land potentially dangerous during the day. Piglins made the nether more dangerous in general, and then the warden and even goats made the game more treacherous, as the mountain-dwelling animals will headbutt into the player. The creaking and the Pale Garden biome are introduced in the same general direction as the prior mobs, and delving specifically into horror themes alongside the warden. The fear-based direction of many aspects of the game could be meant to encourage a low vibrational reality for the millions of children who play the latest version of the game. As much of the symbolism is demonic, demons feed off of negative energies such as fear and hopelessness, the latter of which is also a feeling that could potentially be inspired by the Pale Garden's bleakness or the overpowered stats of the warden. The bleakness of the Pale Garden biome and the creaking monster supersedes that of netherite, which is similar to a suggestion made by one poster. Quote, "There are evil people spreading demoralization propaganda to make the whole world manifest a gray, colorless, and depressing society with no values, ethics, or spirituality. The people running it are full of misery within and want to pollute the collective mind with their negativity." Another possible idea behind the creaking monster in the Pale Garden biome could be to make kids afraid of the woods, since trees often creak, and that's the only place that they creak in Minecraft. In a very scary place. Another possible factor behind the Pale Garden's implementation could be to make kids afraid of older media, since it's often in black and white. Some parents let their children play Minecraft from the age of 4 years old, and the game has existed for many players' entire lives, including that of the 14-year-old actor in a Minecraft movie. That's a lot of time for the covertly added symbols in the rest of the game to subconsciously influence one's development as a person and impact them for the rest of their life. To paraphrase a commenter, quote, "The normalization of subliminal programming only requires constant exposure to implant these suggestions into one's subconscious. Most of us don't remember how fictional media has shaped our worldviews. Combined with very high likelihood of little to no religious upbringing, kids will forget as they grow into teenagers why they are drawn to mysticism of various kinds. Why this is so effective is because the brain internalizes moving images as memories, even if they are just dreamlike experiences you can only vaguely recall." End quote. The personal feelings of a child surrounding the objects of symbolism are possibly also inconsequential to their efficacy, as if they scare them, they may be likely to be intimidated by them, avoiding them and turning a blind eye to them later in life. If they like them, then they're more likely to be attracted to them and engage in left-handed path themes of occultism later in life. If they're indifferent to them, then the symbols are normalized, and they're less likely to take issue with them and their meanings. Although they are personal experiences, it's also worth noting that at least one parent has reported that their daughter tried playing Minecraft when she was about 5, 7, and 8 years old, and each time felt that, quote, "the devil was in her head," end quote, trying to win her approval, which disturbed her. And each time after stopping playing the game, directly afterwards, the experiences ceased again. Though this is not restricted to Minecraft and is commonly reported across media with demonic themes in general, in regards to Minecraft, this instance occurred without the parents knowing of the symbolism or making prior suggestions to their children about religious ideas regarding the game, and all could have taken place entirely within the current period of Minecraft containing dark occult symbolism. Specific pieces of media that contain demonic content have sometimes stirred up paranormal activity in my life personally as well before, though Minecraft has not been one of those. To paraphrase another commenter, so many popular games today have been filled to the brim with this worship of the number 6, infinity, the color black, and the Saturnic cube. Halo, Fortnite, Minecraft, and surely others. This carbon fear, carbon worship trend is everywhere else in the mainstream media as well. It represents media as a whole, entering a new age of maturity and adulthood, and the existentially terrifying future ahead of mankind. The carbon represents the far non-dual and yet dual truth and mystery that lie in all forms of existence. Transhumanists will mistake this sacred carbon as the future that will let humanity become an ascended androgen race, but they know deep down that this isn't the case. The corruption and idolization of carbon is their temper tantrum towards its creator, as it always has been. 6 is the atomic number of the element carbon, and cubes have 6 sides. The use of all these symbols is meant to represent rebellion against nature and higher order through mastery of the material world. To interpret the symbolism more directly, piglins could represent children being possessed by modern technology and the pitfalls and traps that it creates. And molok could literally symbolize the men, women, and children whose lives are sacrificed to the perils of our modern world. Some other possible intentions for implementing dark occult symbolism into the game could be to distract from the true powers that be, and evidently to mock Christianity as well. Although the nether is likened to hell, the player constructs a portal to get there. It contains fire elementals, and skulls from the nether can be used to summon a monster of destruction. I would argue that all this stuff added while Minecraft was still owned by Notch is not intentional occult symbolism. The biome of the nether dimension was originally named Hell in development, and this made it an easy target for implementing occult symbolism. But it was just a placeholder, as it was just Minecraft's version of the common underworld trope, with less semblance to a religious or occult interpretation of hell than most other media. The influence of American Christianity on its film and television is why heaven and hell are portrayed as common tropes across different forms of media nowadays. Old cartoons such as Looney Tunes and Tom and Jerry had religious portrayals of heaven and hell, as they were produced within a society whose religion was overwhelmingly Protestant Christian. As the mainstream media detached itself from Christianity, the tropes remained, but their presence in children's media became detached from religion themselves usually, to try to not offend parents. Originally, the only similarities between Minecraft's nether dimension and the idea of hell in American Christianity were that it was in a cave, there was lots of fire, and there were spooky creatures there. The creatures themselves were completely fantastical and were often silly, original creations, not tied to any intentional occult symbolism or religious ideas. However, in the Nether update, Mojang, under Microsoft's ownership, covertly added occult symbolism to try to not be detected by parents, and altered pre-existing parts of the game to become demonic. Dinnerbone, a longtime lead developer of Minecraft, confirmed back in 2020 that the Nether is meant to be a separate dimension from the overworld rather than an underworld. The subspace bubble achievement is completed by using the Nether to travel 7 kilometers in the overworld, as for every 1 block traveled in the Nether, 8 blocks are traveled in the overworld. The name of the achievement is a reference to Star Trek, wherein subspace is a sort of quantum sublayer of the universe that is normally inaccessible to humans. Although it probably wasn't a conscious decision, Notch's quizzical naming of the default skin in the game as Steve happens to be a nickname derived from the first martyr of Christianity and the patron saint of stonemasonry, Saint Stephen. Although some might focus on the possible Masonic aspect of that, if unintentional, the stone part is even more interesting, because stone has always been the most plentiful type of block in the game, and it now has variants such as diorite, andesite, granite, the Nether's blackstone, and deep slate. As a result, it is also the most common building material, and can be used to craft a wide variety of blocks to build with. Building with stone is the definition of stonemasonry. Part 5. Alternatives. Minecraft has inspired and left an impact on many games over the years. It was inspired by many games, and there are many games that share a lot in common with it. A couple suitable, currently available alternatives for voxel-based sandbox games in terms of gameplay, modifiability, and being actively developed include Luanti and Vintage Story. Luanti, formerly known as Mindtest, is a free and open-source game that started development while Minecraft was also in development, and is extremely and intrinsically modder-friendly. Vintage Story is similar to Minecraft if it had taken a route of more realistic wilderness survival, extensive RPG-like mechanics, and deep fantasy world building, including from Eldritch Horror. Both Luanti and Vintage Story are fun, open-world games that give Minecraft a run for its money, especially as it drifts ever further from what it made it special in the first place, when it was a humble, agenda-free, blank canvas, where the only limits were the player's imaginations. If you want to play versions of Minecraft proper, without dark occult symbolism, Technically, anything pre-1.16 will work, but the best versions of the game are often concurred by players to be 1.12.2, 1.7.10, and the beta 1.7.3, in order of most to least recent. Though even listing all those versions is controversial in itself, as there is a wide variety of opinions among the player base. 1.12.2 has a smorgasbord. 1.12.2 has a smorgasbord of mods, and is the last version before annoyingly pervasive mechanics were added that changed the fundamental nature of the game. As in 1.13, phantoms made sleeping a necessary chore, and the drowned made water dangerous. Some people prefer the swimming and crawling mechanics and underwater biomes of 1.13. There are mods that can backport almost any newer features to older versions of the game. 1.7.10 also has a plethora of mods, and was the last version to be released under Notch's leadership before Mojang was sold to Microsoft, with every edition having an intended use, being deliberately thought out in order to prevent bloat and making essential actions unnecessarily tedious. Even poisonous potatoes had a purpose, to be the token useless item of the game. Beta 1.7.3 is the most popular beta version of Minecraft, since it retains the original simple appeal of the game before it was overhauled in the next version, leading up to the official release. What's that? You're someone who doesn't own Minecraft yet, but really wants to try it out, or get your friend's account so that you can play with them, but after seeing the dark occult symbolism that's been added to it, you're not sure if you want to benefit its implementers or support the effects of it on the player base? To not get disappeared by micro-Yangsoft Robocops, I must elaborate that I strongly support abiding by any and all copyright law. However, I cannot deny that it's a true statement to say that there happen to be things called left parenthesis R at symbol left parenthesis K3D launchers in existence that would technically allow one to play older, better versions of the game. My cracked phone screen would make it harder to play Minecraft on it. In the case of launchers, maybe not the case, but do not do this. Time will tell how long such avenues last, because as mentioned at the start of the video, Microsoft plans for the game to last for 100 years. Such a long time of influence could expose generations to the symbols, leaving an impact on society that is potentially unimaginable yet. By that point, it would have become a zombie franchise like The Simpsons or SpongeBob, but neither of those properties have even existed for more than a few decades, let alone a century. Finally, if you want to do something about this, you could boycott the parties responsible, spread the word, and stay vigilant in the quest to know and expose the truth. To wrap things up, because the black Saturnic cube represents the spatial and chronological constraints of people, Molok represents child sacrifice, and selling your soul is also a theme in the game now. A good lesson to take away from this could be to not devote too much time to virtual worlds, and to focus effort into developing life in the real one, as well as building relationships with other human beings through mediums which are harder or impossible for external forces to sever connection on, such as by spending time together in person and using communications at least as private and secure as simple phone numbers, or simply checking up at each other's physical addresses. Though kids should obviously take caution and consult with their parents before meeting up in person or sharing personally identifiable information with any random person from the internet, especially since faking one's identity is becoming ever easier and more convincing. A simpler, less rambling lesson is this: be vigilant, purposeful, and intentional about how you incorporate the virtual with the whole of your life. Thanks for watching. Feel free to download and re-upload this video elsewhere if you wish to share and back up the information, in case this upload goes down. I hope you found this information useful, and that awareness of it allows you to live with more joy and liberty. May the truth always come to light, and to those who would find the information pertinent, Jesus Christ is the most powerful exorcist in existence. Bye, Kryn. There he goes. What a cool guy.